The treasured yellow bean. The Chinese call it the great legume. Bitter, tough, and indigestible. It's taken thousands of years, from ancient farmers in China and Korea to the kitchens of Southeast Asia, to fully unlock the nutritional properties of the soybean. The sights, sounds, and smiles of northern Thailand. In the streets of Chiang Mai, a nutty aroma fills the air. It's the unmistakable whiff of Tua Nao. On a crisp morning, Madam Hang collects fresh teak leaves for the day's production of Tua Nao. Chinese immigrants were thought to have introduced the soybean to Thailand 3 to 4 centuries ago. And it's the main raw ingredient in Tua Nao. Plumped after soaking, the beans are boiled for more than 12 hours until they've softened. Then they're wrapped in teak leaves, which will impart a reddish hue. No salt is added, so naturally occurring microbes, predominantly Bacillus bacteria, can begin to grow. Within these fleece-lined baskets, a magical chemistry between bean and bacteria bubbles away. Over in South Korea, Changpyeong has been called a slow city for its dogged preservation of fading traditions. Soybeans have been cultivated in Korea since 4000 BC. It featured on the food tables of ancient tribes, fueling the rise of empires in Northeast Asia. The Koreans are experts at fermenting soy. Fermented soy products were so treasured in the past, they were collected as taxation or tribute. Today, they find their way into all kinds of food across Korea's culinary landscape. Ki Sun-do, who has been fermenting soybeans for 50 years, is a nationally recognized grand master of this ancient technique. As summer heat gives way to cooler months, the soybean paste-making season begins.
이건 계기가 아니고 우리가 370년 내려온 그대로 지금 하고 있는 거예요. 이건 계기가 없고 시집 와서부터 계속 이어받고 있죠.
Master Ki boils the beans in a traditional earthen cauldron for at least 3 to 4 hours. The heat turns raw, indigestible beans into tender, nourishing beads of protein. Still hot, they're pounded down to introduce air for mold growth. The mashed beans are shaped into these meju bricks. Home to many microorganisms, rice straws are tied around the bricks. Then the menfolk take over, tying the bricks to the eaves of the houses to dry. Over the course of a month, bacteria and fungi break down the protein and carbohydrates in the soybeans. The spores of the meju mold are greenish, so black or blue colors indicate contamination. These bricks have fermented perfectly.
잘 돼서 메주가 이렇게 잘라 보면 잘 발효가 된 걸 느끼죠.
When the weight of the bricks has reduced by half, it's time for the next step. This is her secret ingredient. Natural bedrock water, drawn from 150 meters below, glides over each brick. The washed bricks are placed in large clay pots for the second round of fermentation. This is salt roasted in bamboo stems. It makes a flavorful brine that submerges the bricks. Salt water triggers the main enzymes in the meju, causing them to further break down. This produces amino acids, sugars, and fatty acids.
딴 게 들어가질 않고 세 가지만 그렇게 발효해서 숙성 과정 거치면 그렇게 맛있는 간장 된장이 되는 거예요.
Topped with jujubes, dried red peppers, and charcoal. Nature is allowed to take its course. Making meju goes hand in hand with superstition. The makers must come to the task with a positive mindset, and no one who has just attended a funeral should take part. It's believed that all these play a part in crafting the taste of the final sauce. In Chiang Mai, Madam Hang's soybeans have been fermenting while cocooned in their baskets for 3 days. Left at ambient temperature, microbes have transformed the soy proteins into peptides, amino acids, and ammonia. Tuanao means rotten beans. Unwrapping reveals the distinctive texture and pungency behind its name. For many northerners, meat used to be scarce. Some ate it as little as once a year for Buddhist ceremonies or other special occasions. So tuanao was the perfect seasoning. It delivered a hit of umami to otherwise simple dishes. long before shrimp paste gained prevalence in the region. A wooden press flattens the bean paste into discs, increasing their surface area so they'll dry out faster. Madam Hang's workshop makes around 200 discs daily. Harnessing the sun's power, the discs fully dry out in 3 days. Dried tuanao keeps better and is the more common version sold. In the olden days, grilled tuanao crumbled over rice would constitute a full meal for some people. Today, it remains a major flavor enhancer and vegan alternative in the north. A reminder of the wisdom of ancient communities who embraced simplicity in their culinary ways. This riverside restaurant in Chiang Mai serves a variety of authentic Thai dishes, including the signature chili sauces in Shan cuisine. Over a low flame, dried tuanao discs are lightly toasted and pounded along with classic Thai aromatics. The chili paste releases its irresistible fragrance in a wok of hot oil. Add ground pork and fry the mixture into a relish. These dips, called nam prik, are a favorite palate cleanser for Thai meals. In South Korea's Changpyeong Township, a batch of Master Key's meju, fermented soybean blocks, has been soaking in earthen pots for 50 days. This means the concoction is ready to be separated into 2 of the essential sauces or jangs. The solids go on to be made into doenjang, soybean paste. And the liquids will be made into ganjang, soy sauce. The salty, pungent flavors of fermented soybean goes well with cabbage and other leafy vegetables, like the bog rhubarb that grows on the grounds. Aubergines are also in season and the ideal mediums to soak up a flavorful dressing. Along with Master Key's artisanal jangs, they make for the most delicious side dishes, or banchans. Even in Korea's fast-paced society, one fact holds true. Patience equals flavor. In thousands of back kitchens, a staple Indonesian food is being made. The cheap meat alternative that provides 10% of the nation's protein intake is the nutty meaty soy patty known as tempe. The Javanese have been eating cooked soybeans as early as the 12th century. But it was only in the 17th century that this native East Asian crop came to Java en masse, on board the ships of Chinese traders. At 3 in the afternoon, Mrs. Sokyam gets to work. She processes 25 kilograms of soybeans daily, churning out up to 1,000 pieces. Just prepping the beans for fermentation takes 3 days, keeping to how it's been done traditionally. There are some 81,000 small-scale tempe makers who produce a whopping 2.4 million tons of tempeh a year. Soaking softens the soybeans and makes it easy to remove its outer layer. At 7 in the morning, the beans are boiled and then dehulled by hand. They go through a second round of soaking overnight in order to be fully hydrated. This also helps trigger the growth of bacteria needed for fermentation later.
Supados nawi dikum 1 malam, tempene kajenge sae lan boten bosok.
By day 3, the beans are ready to be fully cooked through. Heat kills unwanted microorganisms and increases the protein concentration of the soybeans, making them more nutritious. When the beans have cooled, they're ready for inoculation. An even sprinkling of a yeast starter called ragi tempe.
Biar campur semua, biar meresap di dele-dele ini loh.
In Jogja, tempeh is wrapped into small one-person servings. And left to incubate at room temperature for 48 hours. Limited airflow causes fungi to disperse and grow. A dense white mycelium forms, binding the soybeans together into a compact cake. In hot weather, soybeans ripen easily, altering the taste of the tempeh. So this batch is off to the customers bright and early when it's the coolest. This eatery is an institution in Jogja and sells one thing and one thing only. Known as the Javanese burger, jada tempe consists of a sweet tempe patty and a layer of coconut sticky rice, making for one delicious bite.
Jadi jada tempe Mbah Cari itu karena sudah legenda, kita sudah jualan sejak tahun 1940.
Bacem is a cooking method that involves simmering food and spices. Here, it's palm sugar and bay leaves.
Kita jaga keautentikannya, jadi kita kualitasnya itu sejak zaman dulu sampai sekarang itu kita jaga.
The tempe cooks for 4 to 5 hours. Over time, the liquid reduces, the sugar caramelizes, and the spices become infused. To make the jada, freshly grated coconut is mixed and steamed with glutinous rice, and then battered into a sticky paste. The tempe fried to a satisfying crunchiness.
Dan jadahnya itu sangat lembut ya kayak gini, dan tempenya itu tempe bacemnya merasuk sampai ke dalam.
The coconut rice shaped into chewy and savory balls. Together, the red and white colors of this authentically Jogjanese dish recalls the Indonesian flag. The cultured soy protein, eaten by millions across social and economic classes, has been a way of life for Indonesians for centuries. While its health properties and versatility has propelled this low-cost food into kitchens all over the world.